All right, we have a third match now for ShadowShield versus Xanxus this time versus the other cousin. We'll see which one he decides to start with here on Palace. Looks like he may use the same arsenal he used versus Xanxus to good effect. Xanxus, the previous king of the tag tournament, known for having a ridiculously good series against Guinan in the last 1v1 tournament as well. Should be an exciting one. ShadowShield actually being the only player to take a series off of Guinan in that previous 1v1 tournament. In the group stage, that was. Guinan actually didn't advance his first seed from his group. ShadowShield did. ShadowShield was then knocked out in the quarterfinals. Was unable to advance and give Guinan his shot at revenge. Didn't really get a shot at some of the other big names either after being knocked out in quarters. Never got to play the Xanxus, the Espers. Got knocked out by a no-name in quarters. It's already breaking through a flash hole here against Xanxus. It's a good move. Putting some early pressure down. Xanxus using his own Tiger Strength reincarnation. The Key Faith has been very popular in the 1v1 so far. Almost all of your top players have some version of it that they've been running. Seen it out of Murder several times. We've seen it out of ShadowShield. We've seen it out of Xanxus. We've seen it out of Xexus. Seen it out of Math as well, I believe. May have even seen one out of Esper. It's not really Esper's style, though. Esper much more hang the environmental and or use Ice Sword. Sometimes doing both. Gonna move back in onto Xanxus. Still no damage down. Gonna throw out the Kai Lance, but that will connect onto the pole there. Xanxus with a perfect cartwheel just in case it decided not to. Continuing to use that guard effectively to block attacks. He's going to pick up the Dragon Slayer right as Xanxus picks up a shield, so good timing and a good guess there that Xanxus would finally have one after so much time of not having one. If he times it properly, he could get a 5 damage combo out of this. Right now, Xanxus, despite being in the open, has the advantage. Every time he fires, too, he takes away enough aura that he can't hit the combo. He doesn't go for the combo. Didn't even throw it out. He had the aura to do it. Didn't even throw it. He does take the shield, so that's 2 shields down for Xanxus. We didn't see what that one was. He's got another in hand. Manages to keep himself away from that reincarnation. Ooh, ShadowShield getting a little over-eager and confident there. Throws the reincarnation too close, and Xanxus just sidesteps it and pops him. That'll be the first set of damage to go down in this series. Took us almost 4 minutes to get there. Both these players playing very cautiously. Xanxus takes a little bit of trash damage from his own reincarnation. ShadowShield actually loses his reincarnation. Almost drops the bridge on himself with that guard. Tiger Strength Willow probably going to be more effective versus Xanxus now. Ooh. I do believe this was mentioned. I think the characters, they froze. So we may have a full remake here. I'm looking it up to see what they told me they did. Okay, they said they did reset the first match because they froze. But we have that gameplay in. We've seen that. And we have another start here. Does appear that ShadowShield at least is using the same arsenal. See double key faith likely again. I do believe I saw them talking about that in chat, that they were going to use same arsenals. Getting all of his shields early though. Not the place ShadowShield wants to be. Willow and a Hyper Kai Lance with a little bit more aura that could be an effective combo. Doesn't have that aura yet. Actually overwrites the flash hole. Suppose when Xanxus is running around with Tiger Strength 3 in most of the game, you're not as worried about the flash holes. Now, Diabolical Trick isn't really a ShadowShield move. It could be interesting, although Xanxus now has an attack. I was going to say, he had no attacks. And if he can get in there and start erasing some things, it'll be very effective. Flash hole going to take that Willow. Better hope he has a second one. He was willing to fire that. Fire Gehenna's on bench, as is the Diabolical Trick. Xanxus just has Backdraft Bullet. Looks like he just came over there to fake things out, and he managed to walk away with a flash hole for Willow trade that he didn't even lose the flash hole. Overwrites another shield for a guard. Oh, but the lack. Xanxus, with the patience, punishes ShadowShield so hard. Shadow gets one capsule, but he loses 3, and he loses his shield that is likely to be his most important counter to that Tiger Strength reincarnation. Xanxus just barely dodging that one out. Trying to get some chase on now with the hyper kick. No Iron Skin anymore either. That was overwritten too. I think he's just down to flash hole at this point versus the hyper kick. It's a rough place to be in. Right now he's playing it very carefully, but they're not careful enough. He's going to take 9 damage. Xanxus really has him on the ropes right now. Fire Gehenna just got that much more expensive to use after taking 9. Does not want to have to start hitting that move, but he's got to do it in order to break through the flash hole, or he's never going to be able to use the Willow. Armoros, not going to be effective. Xanxus eats the second Willow and dodges the Fire of Gehenna. Looking absolutely on point so far in this game. Well, he will trade back a little bit of damage and take a shield. Finally gets that flash hole, but only after losing 2 Willows, and he is yet to find a Tiger Strength. As both of them spawn. Tiger Strength Fire Gehenna not going to get him much further in this game. He can only fire that 3 more times, assuming he doesn't get hit while doing so. Reincarnation is a little bit better at least. Xanxus is only losing that 1 flash hole, has plenty more shields in this deck. Cartwheeler showing you just how friendly they are as he dodges that reincarnation by basically cartwheeling in place. Doesn't even hardly move. And he manages to dodge a reincarnation. Oh boy, I love cartwheelers. Some of the things they can get away with. Oh, he does manage to get that onto Xanxus, that point-blank reincarnation. He's finally getting himself back into a decent health area versus his opponent here. He's still not in a great spot. Xanxus, I think he actually overrode a Tiger Strength there. Might be holding on to another lack, or it could even be the Dragon Slayer. If it's a Dragon Slayer, Shadow cannot afford to lose the shield, really. Once he's in line with that reincarnation and no shield, he's in a real bad spot. As it is right now, he can flash hold the reincarnation. I think Xanxus is just running around with the hyper kick and backdraft at this point, though. ShadowShield going to take away some of the cover. Xanxus continues to dodge these reincarnations in tight quarters. If he'd just flash hold that would have actually been a really good move. Xanxus wouldn't have been able to do those ground combos anymore. And it wouldn't break. ShadowShield probably getting a little anxious, though, in a high-pressure match like this. Especially when you don't have the tools really to deal with the offense of the opposing player, other than trying to prevent him with your own offense. I know hands get to almost start shaking a little bit, and you start to really feel your heart pound in those moments when you're under pressure and they've got you cornered like this. Just trying to see if he can land one of these reincarnations onto Xanxus, who's still holding onto a purple. Could be diabolical, although I think we would have tried to see him set up one of those by now, if it was. Down to 40 seconds. Shadow gets a little anxious there. Throws out the fire. Looks like we might be going to a draw here, which is probably best case scenario for ShadowShield, given the way that the early game of this played out. Oh, obviously best case is managing to pull out the win, but he was on the back foot for a lot of this match. Xanxus, if he goes now, could get the kill. I don't think Shadow could kill him, but Xanxus can content to simply play Ring Around the Rosie at the bottom of the stairs. Takes us to game 2 on Panorama. Looks like we see ShadowShield off to a good start here. Dance of Death and a Swift Blow already in hand. He's got 2 Swift Blows. Maybe he wants a little bit more aura before he picks it up. Better to be able to block and attack in the same hand. He's going to Glacial Wall that first reincarnation. Xanxus doesn't manual it, which is what he usually does. Blocks the Lightning Sword as well. It's good technical play so far. Running back to base. Not sure if I like it. I would have preferred to stay and keep the pressure on. Dropping the shield for the Berserk is definitely risky. Especially to go out in the open and lay it down. The manual aim flame sword is going to catch him right in the noggin. But he does counter for 14. Xanxus down to 1 hit. You got to know in an open room against ShadowShield, if you use a flame sword, you will get hit by a Dancer Psycho Burst. That's just almost guaranteed. You will never catch him in an open room with that kind of setup. It's just not going to work. It's not going to work. As Xanxus just learned. It's a mistake I've made. I've been punished for it. Whenever I played ShadowShield in the tournament, I showed up prepared for it, though. With things like Guard of Water. Although ShadowShield now, wary of players using Guard of Water against him, seems to have added Berserk to his arsenal. Wants to get that damage through the shield. Oh my goodness, Xanxus somehow cartwheels away from that. I have no idea how. He had frames to do that after hanging in the wind with that ice sword. Baffles me how he's able to do that. Cartwheelers, 100% balanced. That's the word we're going to go with. Manages to get away from that. ShadowShield's still holding on to both Swift Flows, which I find a little interesting. He's going to use the Healing Water. Picks up a second dance. Just about any shield in the game that he's able to hit the dance through, Xanxus is going to die to the Berserk. Now has a better shield to block for himself from whenever he's not able to walk a move. Xanxus, however, with a very good reincarnation fake, sets up the ice sword, but ShadowShield has his dancing shoes on. Has no problem getting away from the next ice sword. Has to be wary of those reincarnation fakes. Xanxus famous now for that. That one not faked. Oh my goodness, Xanxus tries to fortress it, but it doesn't matter. 2 Swift Blows, and that'll be game 2 to ShadowShield. Ties this up 1-1. Looks like City is our next map. Going with the Vibration Psycho Burst deck here. Crush and Shield Breaker already in hand. Willing to bet we see him overwrite Crush pretty quickly. Throttle Blaster. I think I would have already started aiming at some of those signs up there just to see if I get some of that cheesy sign damage. ShadowShield, a real gentleman though. Hasn't done so. Is going to start pummeling with Rock Shot. Managed to get an Eraser. It's a good trade. I think it's time to overwrite the Crush myself. Decides not to, and he's going to eat some damage from that blaster. Decides to outrange it. Xanxus just going to keep the pressure on, though. Uses the Paralyzed Barrier. Finally, going to pick up the shield. Only at 9 aura. 10 aura is the sweet spot for the combo he has in hand, as well as the vibration. Well, he'll have the aura for the combo now. Trading the blasters, at least, will put them very close. damage and health-wise. Xanxus not really want to make that trade again. Backs off. Looking now to see if he can catch that shield breaker Psycho Burst. Oh, shield breaker doesn't connect. And despite a perfect counter, cartwheelers have infinite iframes. Just able to get away from anything and everything they want. No weaknesses. Excuse me while I dodge anything I want, whenever I want. Might be better off with some manual aims at that angle. I would have loved to see some sword cancels out of ShadowShield here. As soon as he's down here, though, he's in range of that blaster again. Xanxus is going to move in and start doing that. Does decide to use his own eraser. Get rid of that obnoxiousness. Now, Xanxus is at 10 aura, so he needed that to reach vibration, which he likely has with his arsenal. Now, what I think is going to be interesting to see is whether or not Xanxus is actually going to pick up another aura particle, because he's not one-shot by the Psycho Burst. If he picks up one more, though, he is. So whether or not he has the presence of mind to notice this is important. Oh, that lack could have been absolutely devastating. Now, will he use it? Doesn't pick it up yet. Trying to break that absorb energy. Some manual aims would be more useful. Tiger strength now for Xanxus. He's got to be careful. Trying to bait him into falling off the map, it looks like. Oh my goodness. Xanxus uses the Tiger Strength, but then falls. A nice little bait. Oh, and there goes the 10 damage from the Psycho Burst. ShadowShield games, always exciting to cast. And he breaks the Iron Skin now with a Vibration Blaster. Xanxus, another shield in hand, but can he withstand ShadowShield's pressure here? He never did pick up that aura particle, so that is points in his favor. Has not picked it up. Didn't die in one shot to the Psycho Burst, but damn if it wasn't close. ShadowShield might be better off if he went and he picked up whatever shield he has in base. Maybe he doesn't. He knows what shield he has left in his arsenal and it's not effective. Eraser going to take a Vibration Blaster. Absolutely a good idea to go back for that shield right now, I think. Psycho Burst almost gets Xanxus to cartwheel off the map. Needs to actually unlock for these manual aims to be a little bit more accurate. He's about to eat that hyper kick. He locked on for the laser. If he hadn't locked on, that was a pretty good shot. Oh, he eats the hyper kick. And Xanxus unable to follow up with a backdraft bullet. I think I would have thrown a controller at the wall if that had hit. Oh, goodness. And that one will. ShadowShield feeling like he had the pressure, feeling like a big man on campus after hitting that Psycho Burst. Leaving Xanxus at 1 is just unwilling to go back to base and find his defense to defend against that hyper kick. That was really all Xanxus had, and he took him down from 12 health with nothing but a hyper kick. And so game 3, or is this game 4? Yeah, game 4. I'm losing track here. On lane, game point now for Xanxus. See a violent change in recalls. ShadowShield looking to get a little dirty here today. Acquisition used by Xanxus. Might mean bravery decision for him. A heat used as well as the acquisition. Now it's 6 aura. ShadowShield looks like he's a little dead in the water aura-wise. Might be just waiting to use some of these shields. It's a hard call to make whether or not he should begin to overwrite. Honestly, with the way Xanxus plays, I'd rather not. Overwrite, that is. Just wait it out. Let him get up there. Let him shoot some attacks at you. Just settle in for the long game. It's going to actually overwrite the Angel's Wing. Oh, I don't know if I like that. Yeah, that was exactly the wrong moment to overwrite the Angel's Wing. The relearn, then losing it. Oh my goodness, not a fan of these choices. 7 damage down. Loses both shields now. And another Ice Sword connects. He's just getting picked apart by Xanxus right now. Is looking like game 4 against Xanxus. He's creating himself a little bit of room, but he's crumbling so far. And Xanxus is not letting up the pressure, just staying on him. Ice Sword, Lightning Sword, all the sword. He's just got to see how long can he dodge these swords from Xanxus, and that one he does not. 3 health remains. Next sword KOs, and that'll be it. That's a 3-1 for Xanxus, is it not? Am I miscounting? Let's see, Palace. Oh, it was a tie on Palace. Okay, so that's 2-1-1 for Xanxus. Alright. I'd forgotten about the tie on Palace. As we move to Sign. 2 Opties. Neither one placeable. Doesn't bother to pick up the second one either, which I find odd. Yep, there he goes. Picks it up now. Xanxus is moving in with some purples. Having trouble telling if one of those is an attack or not. Does lose his paralyzed barrier to the Dragon Slayer. Doesn't want to pick up the second speed up yet. Wants to save that in case there's problems later, I think. He is going to pick it up now. I guess he's seen the 2 schools out of Xanxus, knows that the worst that can happen is a neutralization. Willing to pick it up now. That's 3 paralyzed barriers in here. So I'm guessing paralyzed barrier, Psycho Burst to be the plan here. Need Xanxus to be at a little bit higher aura if this is to be truly effective. He's moving in. He's got it. And he's going to fall off. Xanxus is going to go ahead and fall off too. Now, Paralyzed Barrier. He's lost all 3 Paralyzed Barriers now. So that whole aspect of the potential combo is gone. And he lost 1 Psycho Burst to the Eraser of Xanxus. Psycho Burst. 2 of them down. Iron Skin catches that one. He decided not to lead with the Psycho Wave. Xanxus will take some more tumble damage. Falling off the map. Down to 14. Lack doesn't take anything. 2 more Psycho Waves. Dear goodness, this is the most ShadowShield deck I've ever seen. With 3 Paralyzed Barriers, 3 Psycho Bursts, and 3 Psycho Waves. That is 9 skills. 2 optimizations. What else is even in this? He's got a level Berserk. Oh, dear goodness. This right here, gentlemen, ShadowShield for you. Xanxus flirting with some more fall damage as the map is coming apart at the seams. Oh, he's going to hit him for the one shot. Oh, he does not. That one does, though. Finishes him off with Psycho Wave. Possibly the most ShadowShield thing I've ever seen in my life. Comboing level Berserk with Psycho Wave after Psycho Bursts and Paralyzed Barriers for days. That deck was just disgusting. Disgusting. I'm offended that I had to watch this. ShadowShield ties it up now. 2-2 with 1 tie. We'll be moving back to Palace. Does he go with more Psycho Burst? It is not the same arsenal he used last time on Palace. Needs to switch it to Palace. Hasn't done so. I guess they're playing it on sign. I don't. Yeah, he realized now that he needs to switch the map. As we are back to Palace. Not the best Aura start for him, but he overwrites pretty easily. He's going to be able to use that speed up, and with an empty bench, he should be able to recover just fine. Xanxus is not doing much better there Aura-wise. He's at 2. Have to see how he recovers. It's tempting not to use that Quantum Amp right now. Truly is. +2 speed already. He's got both Quantum Amps too. He's got all 3 Quantum Amps, and he doesn't want Xanxus to get the start. But I guess he's just going to bite the bullet and use them. He sees Xanxus hit the 4. Figures it's time to use them. He actually relearns it too, so he's going to use 4 Quantum Amps. Xanxus with all the aura he could possibly want. Looks like he's using the deck he had on lane that did him so well before against what appeared to be a wonky erase violent change deck. Truly tragic what happened there on lane. ShadowShield overwrites an Angel's Wing just in time to get sword banged all the way down to 0. Xanxus is already in 2-shot territory. He's breaking hang spots, too. Looks like he's wary of the Berserk and the optimization that enabled ShadowShield last time. He's lost twice to environmentals. Although I don't know that the environmental was all that impactful on Sign. So he continues going around trying to break some of these hang spots. ShadowShield looks to counter with the Psycho Burst, but is unable to. He's going to pick up a second one. Has decided not to go up to +4 speed, sticking at the +2. I think given how many stats Xanxus has used, I'd be willing to do it. Just go up to the +4, get that a little extra mobility. Maybe surprise Xanxus with the speed. He's probably not as used to playing against somewhat speeded up players. Psycho Wave for the switch hit. Xanxus with the manual could have maybe been punished there. ShadowShield. Absolutely unfazed right now by the sword cancels. It might be time just to break one of those shields with the Psycho Burst, but playing very patiently here in Game 5. He needs 2 hits to take him down. Blocks 2 bullet fires in a row. Xanxus sword canceling on the tree root once again. Oh, and he connects with a walk. Psycho Wave. Devastating to Xanxus. One more hit, and that'll deal Xanxus his final blow. He is going to go up to that +4 speed now. Return to nature. Xanxus realizing that +4 speed probably going to hurt him too much. Throttle Blaster now. Xanxus not blocking it, so doesn't want to reveal what his shield is yet. Some manual aims could serve you very well here right now. We don't see him going for any of that yet. He's actually going to overwrite the Throttle Blaster for the Excalibur. Wants that switch hit capability. Oh, he actually connects it, but it's 0 damage. Xanxus, surprised by the Excalibur, doesn't even begin to dodge it, but he doesn't get any damage off of that either. And now he's back, unfrozen. Xanxus getting 1 Ice Sword in. That's all he's gotten so far. Oh, he does get another one. Lightning Sword not able to follow, though. That one does. ShadowShield getting himself in a little bit of trouble. But he's going to connect with the 16 damage Psycho Burst. Xanxus, once again, learning the lesson that you cannot attack ShadowShield in the open with a sword. And that'll be a 3-2-1 victory for ShadowShield over Xanxus. Xanxus on the verge of not advancing from groups. At best, he advances as 3rd seed now. I don't know if anybody would have expected that coming to this tournament. Xanxus, not 1st seed, not 2nd seed, but looking at fighting for 3rd seed to advance out of Group C.